After a long spring and long summer, fall is here. The NFL season is back, and we are starting off with the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. Thursday night football, NBC prime time is going to be a big one. As far as the result of the game, I'm picking the Buccaneers. I don't see how the Cowboys are winning this.
I gotta agree with you. I think this is like a terrible opener if I'm a Cowboys fan. Like I'm excited to have Cowboy football back, and we Cowboys fans, they're with their team through everything, and they probably
Yeah.
all think they're gonna win. So, but I'm gonna have to pick the Buccaneers. I don't see the Cowboys getting this.
Yeah. So going into this, the NFL, I would say, is pretty smart. You get the biggest brand in the league, the biggest brand probably in American sports, period. The Cowboys, they were not good last season. They sucked. Obviously, a lot of that was due to Dak being out. Dak is back. He didn't have any preseason, but it looks like he's going to be fine to play. So, hopefully he'll stay healthy and, moving forward, he'll be able to show us what he's got after getting that contract. On the other side, you got the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, winning their first title in almost 20 years, led by Tom Brady, of course. Everybody calls him the GOAT, greatest football player of all time. And you've got a high-powered offense on both teams. Uh, Defensively, obviously, the Buccaneers have the edge there, but I am interested to see how Micah Parsons will look in his debut game. So the NFL, like I said, is pretty smart for putting this game together for our opener. The Buccaneers, though, they're just going to have the edge. I think that D line, that front seven, obviously their strongest part of the defense, probably going to tear up that offensive line for the Cowboys because Zach Martin is out because of COVID protocols. Obviously, Zach Martin is going to be a Hall of Famer at some point once he retires. And the offensive line isn't as good as it used to be. It's getting up there in age. So, with Dak being back, like I said, I want him to stay healthy, but they're going to have to keep him upright for that to happen. And for the Cowboys, they're going to have to get Zeke involved. Zeke has been declining over the past few seasons. He came in the league strong, incredibly strong. And, since really 2018, he was still good, but 2019, 2020, he just hadn't been the same guy. Hopefully this year he'll be back to who he's supposed to be. But the Cowboys are going to need him to be able to, get 20 carries plus, over 100 yards at least. You have Tony Pollard back there as well, but you want Zeke to be the workhorse. That's what he got the big money for. So they're going to need a big game from Dak, big game from Zeke. Try to hold off that defensive front of the Buccaneers. And on defense, again, the Cowboys last year were horrible on defense, atrocious to say the least. So they have to at least try to stop this offensive attack of the Buccaneers. I don't think they'll be able to do it. That's probably why they're going to end up losing this game.
Yeah, I think, when you look at these teams, Dak Prescott throwing to people like, Cooper, Lamb, or Gallup, that's great. Like, that's going to work, be a good connection, at least as long as you have Dak at full strength and the full strength. But for the Cowboys to have any chance, you have to have Zeke be himself, as Terrence was saying. He has to come out, he has to be a good workhorse. He has to actually be his old strong self and be able to get a good amount of yards and be able to actually power through that defense. And the Cowboys defense has got to stop Tom Brady and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown and Leonard Fournette and Rob Gronkowski. And the Cowboys defense, I don't think is capable of doing that. And so what it comes down to is the Bucs are probably going to score almost every drive, at least in some way. And so is for that to be balanced out, the Cowboys would have to do the same thing to win. And I don't see them being able to outlast Tom Brady in a shootout. It's just not going to happen. So, I mean, fitting wording, the Cowboys lose a shootout. But I'm not even sure it's going to be a shootout. I'm not sure that that Buccaneers defense is going to allow the Cowboys offense to pop off that much. So, it should be a fun game. It's like Terrence said, it's a great branding game. You got the reigning champs versus, the biggest brand in sports. But I would almost see this being like a game we're going to talk about in a little bit. Alabama, Miami, it's, hyped up. These two teams should be kind of good. But one of them is probably going to end up coming through and just wiping the floor with the other one and, moving on, improve to 1-0. And the other team will have to kind of scramble back up from there. So, and sadly, I think that team that will be doing scrambling will be the Cowboys. I like Dak. I'm excited for his return. I hope he does great this season. I think he will. He was doing exceptional before his injury last season. But this is not his best defense to have to be debuted against.
Yeah, I actually want to continue with that point that you just made. Last year, they did start like what 1-4 at the beginning of the year before Dak went out, but Dak was going crazy. Obviously, he kind of had to because the defense was so bad, and he's having to put up all these points. But Dak was playing well, and you can't really blame him for how the team was doing before he got injured. So if Dak can be that same guy with that receiving core, and like I said, Zeke, he has to be good as well. Maybe you can keep it close, but I just don't really see how they'll be able to keep up with the Buccaneers because you can have the three receivers you mentioned before. Mike Evans, who is somehow underrated, despite having 1,000-yard season ever since he got into the league. I guess just because the Bucs weren't good. Chris Godwin, All Pro type guy for the past 2 years, and then Antonio Brown. Kind of weird to say like Antonio Brown is the number 3 receiver on the team, but obviously I would take him if we're talking prime Antonio Brown. But having that guy as your number 3, Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup, they're good, but they're not as good as this trio right here. And obviously, you have Gronk, you have a bunch of good running backs, and OJ Howard is back this season. He wasn't even here last year when they went and won the Super Bowl. So the fact that the Buccaneers still have the same starting group, everybody came back. They look like they're primed and ready to make another run. Now, as a Panther fan, I don't want that to happen. I would want them to lose this game, but realistically, I just think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are going to be too much for the Cowboys. And for the Cowboys, they somehow always seem to screw it up. And I don't know what about the Cowboys that they just always seem to find a way to go like 8-8 or, you know, get to the playoffs and then, they win a game and then they lose, like in Green Bay off that amazing throw or, the Dez caught that thing. They always seem to find a way to lose or screw up in some way, shape, or form. And I think this continues this season. The division obviously got a little bit better, of course. It was horrible last year. So the fact that Dak is back, they could, win the division easily, but that wouldn't be the greatest accomplishment ever. I'm not saying that they're going to win 12 games or anything like that, but I feel like they'll win, maybe like 9 games, win the division. It won't be that good, and then probably lose that first game in the playoffs somehow, do what the Cowboys do.
Yeah, I kind of see the same thing happening. I mean, that division's not a tough division. Washington is probably their toughest competitor, especially with the defense that Washington has. And yeah, so 8-8, 9-8, something like that, or 9 and whatever. They probably win that division, and then in their season early on the first round of the playoffs. So, but yeah, it should be an interesting game to see how Dak returns. And I actually forgot that OJ Howard was back. So that's, yet another problem for a struggling Cowboys defense to have all these, like, there's no person out there on the field that you can be like, we can leave them open, because you can't. Like, all of them are either going to, truck through you, or they're going to run past you, and, you're going to get punished. So you've got to, it's just too much for that defense to keep up with. And as another Panthers fan, I hate that I have to be so hard on the Cowboys against our probably toughest division rival right now. But yeah, I can't see the Cowboys ever coming this hump on week 1.
Yep, so we agree there. But overall, I'm just happy that the NFL is finally back.